Alright, this is the game that Daly Cherry Evans would have had circled on his calendar about 12 months ago when he decided that he was going to leave the Manly Sea Eagles. And equally, Manly Sea Eagles fans have definitely had this game circled on their calendar once the draw came out, because they are going to boo the out of Daly Cherry Evans. On a lighter note, I actually don't think he should be booed. I think he's a club legend. He's delivered a premiership for the Manly Sea Eagles. He's delivered the best part of a decade and his best years to that club, but that's just my opinion. Who am I? I'm not a Manly fan, so hey, take it with a grain of salt. Anyway, let's talk about this huge game between the Manly Sea Eagles and the Sydney Roosters. The Battle of the Birds, as I like to call it. Very appealing. Now, if you are new, make sure that you do subscribe to Larry Talks. We are on our way to 2,000 subscribers, all that good stuff. But anyway, let's get back into the video. Here's some context. Before we look into the match preview, we're going to be talking about where they stand head-to-head, who's the key player for your side, and where I think this game will ultimately be won, and I'll give you a score prediction as well. Alright, so we start with Manly. The context of the Sea Eagles, currently 11th, no wins so far this season. They beat the bye, so congratulations to Manly, you got 2 points on the board. They host the Roosters at 4 Pines Stadium. Roosters struggling as well. 2 out of their 3 games have been lost, and those 2 losses, they've conceded more than 40 points. Not good enough for Premiers elect, is it? Anyway, a huge game for both teams. But this game is for the Gotcha for Life Cup, so it's a local derby in some respects. Battle of the Beaches, Battle of the Birds. So a lot on the line for these two sides. I think whoever loses here is basically facing down the barrel of a little bit of a spiral of a season. Because even for the Sydney Roosters, while on paper, if they get it right, they can obviously challenge for the premiership. But as we saw with Penrith last year, you don't want to be chasing your tail halfway through the season trying to get into the top 4. Because if you're doing that, then you're not giving yourself any chance of securing the NRL premiership. The record hasn't been broken under the new finals system since it was introduced in 2012, and I don't see that changing under the Sydney Roosters in 2026. So Roosters will want to come and get it together. In the head-to-head, in their last 4 matches, the Roosters have actually won 3 of the last 4. Pretty convincing wins in most cases. Last time these two teams versed each other was in August of last year. The Roosters beat Manly 20 points to 4. And then you have to go back to 2024 for the last results. I'm not going to bore you with that, but the context is the Roosters do have the Manly Sea Eagles number. But can the Roosters break their Brookvale curse? Now, this is a key point. Head don't have a good win record at Brookvale Oval or 4 Point Stadium, a 71% win rate against the Manly Sea Eagles. Now granted, but there is such thing as a home ground advantage. Manly have had 2 home games to start the season. They get another home game here. They'll want to have a strong performance for their fans and get them optimistic about something in 2026. The Manly Sea Eagles have been far from good enough. A nail-biter against the Canberra Raiders, you can forgive them for that, but last start out against the Newcastle Knights, they were not very good. The confirmed team lists, both teams look quite strong, but the one that everyone's looking at is Daly Cherry Evans, Jamal Fogarty. I think that's a good matchup. Man, the Sydney Roosters, I look at their team on paper, jeez, it's such a strong side. I don't understand how they're struggling. Billy Smith returns, that's a big in for the Sydney Roosters. In terms of the Manly Sea Eagles, Boyevich back row, well, 2/3 of it, it's a fair amount. You got key one for Manly, might be a little bit of a surprise packet. On the extended bench, they've got Simeone Lafai. He's a good young forward, and I think that Manly Sea Eagles will be excited by the prospect of him making his debut. So if he does manage to get on Manly, make sure you give him a nice warm round of applause. Sydney Roosters, right, let's talk about the key players here. I think Tom Trbojevic is the key player for the Manly Sea Eagles. When Turbo's fit and firing at fullback, Manly's attack transforms. If Turbo plays well, Manly play well. I honestly think it is that simple. Early 26 form, he's looked good. He's showing flashes of his former self. This is someone who played State of Origin at an elite level. This is a Dally M winner, Tom Trbojevic. When he's on, he looks great. And yes, he's been ravaged with injuries, but there might just still be some fight left in the dog or the Sea Eagle yet. The key player for the Sydney Roosters, the easy answer is to say Daly Cherry Evans, and I think he will be the one that the eyeballs will be on, but I actually don't think he's the key player for the Sydney Roosters. I think the key player for the Sydney Roosters is actually going to be Sam Walker. I think Sam Walker needs to take the pressure off Daly Cherry Evans. I actually think he's the one with the number 7 on his back. He needs to play like he is the prime playmaker, like he is the number 1 lieutenant. He needs to be the one leading the Sydney Roosters around the park, but it always starts in the middle. The forwards need to set the platform. But I'm just going to list some of these names here for the Sydney Roosters and just tell me how this forward pack gets defeated. Nafahu White, Lindsay Collins, Angus Crichton, Egan Butcher, and then on the bench, you've got rep players like Connor Watson. Yes, I know he's not necessarily a forward in terms of making meters, but this is such a good side. Look, the Roosters, even with the injuries to Victor Radley and Spencer Leniu, it's still a bloody good forward pack. Envy of most teams. I don't want to be mean, but I think the Sydney Roosters really got the edge here. Seriously, if they don't put it together, then I don't know what to tell you. They really should be winning this game. That's for both sides. Manly and the Roosters both sitting low on the ladder with negative points differential. The Roosters got smashed 40-4 last week by the Panthers. Let's not forget that. Attack definitely needs fixing fast. Manly coming off the bye, you'd hope that they've worked on some things in that little break that they've had. Alright, so who wins this one? I think the Sydney Roosters are going to finally put it together. I wonder, can Manly get a victory here? No, they cannot. I'm only playing with you. I think the Roosters are going to win, and I think the Roosters might actually win by a decent scoreline. I think Manly will try hard, but I think the Roosters will probably win by about 14 points. I wouldn't be surprised if Manly score first, though. So there's my little tip there. What do you think? Do you have the Roosters winning and returning back into the winner's circle, or do you think Manly can actually get their first win on the board for 2026? Let me know and enjoy your Thursday night rugby league. Get out of here.